Welcome back to the 2022 Chess.com Daily Chess Championship. I said I would update with a few new games, and I got a couple that I think are interesting. First, this is the group of 12 that I am in, among many groups of 12, because remember, there are more than 33,000 people in this tournament. In my group, we've had another player timeout. This one I actually got rating points for because they played 10 or 11 moves before they timed out. The first three I did not. I am currently in first place in my group, but that does not mean I'm going to advance. It just means we have games left to go. The person who is in second place in my group will in all likelihood win this group and advance. They're ahead of me, I think, significantly in one game that I have going on with them. And the other game, I mean, they're rated 300 points higher than me. They could very well pull that off. Now, if I win one and they win one, and we both beat everybody else, then we'll both advance, which would be cool, but I'm not holding my breath. Now, the two games that I wanted to show you were both against the same person. This person was rated in my range. I'm a little higher than them, but not by much. This person is rated what I was rated a month or two ago in daily. And they put up a couple of good fights, and I just wanted to take you through the games and where they went wrong for the opponent, where they went right for me. Here I opened with the London system. They countered with this, what is that called? The Steinitz counter Gambit, according to the book. They took, so we cleared off some files here, but then we continued to develop normally. I noticed this immediately, that, whoops, that's a bad arrow, that they've blocked off their access to their light squared bishop, which I always appreciate. So actually one thing I like about the London is getting that bishop out before blocking this pawn. Now in my case, I don't have a pawn there anyway, so it doesn't matter. I easily block that check. Their bishop goes back to where it is. Some people trade here. Some people do other things. Usually what I do is pull this bishop back so that if they trade, I take with the pawn and open this file for my rook. But for some reason here, and I think it was because they had already blocked in this square, I decided to block that bishop with my knight, which the computer says is a good idea. So my idea was that if they want to trade, I'll be happy to, and have a bishop for a knight. But they did that instead, and neither one of those moves were great. Now, the turning point happened right here. No, not right there. The next move. Now, remember, my knight is pinned here. Oh, the reason I brought my queen up was because I saw I have so many pieces pointing this direction. I thought, hey, why not start some kind of attack here? But anyway, this bishop is guarded by the queen. And so my opponent's next move is a blunder. I think they wanted to put extra pressure on this knight, but they forgot that the bishop was guarding the queen. I said that wrong. They forgot that the queen was guarding the bishop. I recognized that immediately and saw that I could go here, capture this knight, threaten their queen. Now they could move the queen here to get out of danger and protect their bishop, but then I would just put my knight back where it was. So I took the knight for the knight, and now that bishop is unguarded. So I got a free bishop out of this and threatened that rook, which had to move. But from here on out, I'm a piece ahead. And I see that my opponent is trying to work something here. So I decided to protect that pawn. And here I realized, oh, they can bring their queen out as well. So I decided to block that this way, figuring they wouldn't trade their rook for the bishop, but they did. So now, not only am I up a piece, but I'm further up in exchange. I got a rook for a bishop. So now they did bring the queen up, and here I probably should have just pushed this pawn to protect that, but instead, realizing I was up on material, I decided to go for a surprise attack over here. And, well, because my queen is at large on this side of the board and can do all kinds of fun stuff. So Yeah, that's a problem. I shouldn't have done that. What I should have done was gone here and said check. But I did that, which allowed my opponent to take this pawn. The reason that's a blunder is because I have this. Instead of just taking the free rook or just guarding here, I can say check. When they get out of check, I take the rook with check. So now I could keep doing a perpetual check and force a draw, but I also know I can just block my opponent's mating plans here. They don't have much left except here. I admit I was tempted to try to run my king away somehow, but I just went back there where it's safe. And there's really nothing my opponent can do at this point. This knight guards the rook, except maybe try to take a few of my pawns, which they did, but it was basically over. Now here, I saw immediately that when they move this pawn, I have a check. And the king can't come forward because my rook guards this rank. So the king either has to go back to these two squares, and if it did that, my rook comes down, checkmate. So here I used what's called conditional pre-moves. They're not like pre-moves in Rapid or Blitz or Bullet, where you just move your piece before your opponent moves, and then that move happens no matter what, as long as it's still legal. A conditional pre-move is only for daily games, as far as I know. What it does is, after you make your move, which I did, I know that they only have so many choices. So I can go click on the conditional pre-moves button and say, if my opponent moves here, I will move my rook here, and that will be checkmate. Then I can start a new line and say, if my opponent moves here, I will move here, and it'll be checkmate. If my opponent blocks with the pawn, I will take it. Then they will only have one legal move, which is here, and then we'll go there and checkmate. So I entered 3 lines, and then I can leave the game. That way, when my opponent does this, my queen automatically takes it. And I believe they get a pop-up warning or a notice saying your move triggered a conditional pre-move set by your opponent. So they know that, oh, I had already entered that automatically. Well, they see that they only have one legal move, and it's that. And as soon as they do that, bam. So I didn't even have to be there for those last 2 moves, which was pretty cool. In my other game against the same opponent, I did not do as well, mainly because I never do well against d4. I'm working on it. I'm working on the Indian defenses, and the Nimzo. I'm not even sure what they're all called. The idea, wow, to get this knight out and push this pawn so that I can get a bishop here. But I'm still not very familiar with these ideas. It says these are all book moves up through, I don't know if that, yeah, up through there. I know that that's easily blocked, but I also know that if they had blocked with the knight, I can just stay there. If they block with the bishop, it's an even trade, so that's what I did. And here, the computer says I have a very slight advantage, but only very slight. And this went on for quite some time. And again, I'm fairly unfamiliar with these positions. Now here I did know that if they're willing to trade, that's good for me, because I have a completely open file, a semi-open file, semi-open file. The board is starting to open up, so bishops are better than knights. After this and this, I traded a knight for a knight, and then this is basically what I think Gotham Chess calls asking a question. I'm asking this bishop, what are you doing here? Are you here to take this knight, or are you just like that square? And the idea is that now it will either retreat to someplace safer, or they will go ahead and trade. My opponent decided to trade, which, as I said earlier, I think is good for me. I have some semi-open files here and here. Bishop, I believe, is superior to this knight. However, my next few moves were not ideal. That was just a one-move attack with the later idea of targeting this square. My opponent protects easily, and then here the idea was to start to free up my rook and maybe open another file. But it's a mistake, so now my opponent has a slight advantage. Now I see they're going for this fork. I'm not sure what to do to defend it. If I bring the bishop down to defend it, then they're just going to trade, and then undo my advantage. So I don't know, again, what my best plan would have been there. Now the rook is on that pawn, so I defend it backwards from this bishop. But my opponent blunders right here. And I don't know exactly what the best plan of action would have been for the next several moves, but this is what happened. I saw that if we take, now I've got a completely open file for this rook and a completely open diagonal for this bishop and all kinds of running room for my queen to get over there into the action. So I took that pawn, and it says it's a mistake for them to take back. I'm not sure exactly what they should have done. And I'm not so yeah. Probably what I should have done there was gone ahead and bring my queen in, maybe. But regardless, I have a decided advantage now. And my idea here was to take this pawn, forcing the queen out, which it did go out. And I took that pawn. And again, I've got all kinds of open running room for these pieces. And my opponent did that. So I get my queen here with the idea that I can put this bishop anywhere I want. And it'll be check. That's not even a threat, because again, I can put this bishop right here, which I did. The computer didn't like that. I honestly don't know what it wanted me to do, but there we go. I got a check. The king probably should have gone into the corner, but here I did a set of conditional pre-moves again. I made that move, which puts the king in check. And then I entered the conditional pre-move, so I didn't have to be here for the rest of the game. King goes there. Now, it's mate in one here, but I didn't know that when I was setting my conditional pre-moves. I did not realize that if I went there, that's checkmate. Because my queen cuts off these two squares, my bishop cuts this square, and the rook would guard that one and this one. So yeah, but what I did enter in the conditional pre-moves was this, which forces the king here, and that, which forces the king there, this, the interposition, and checkmate. So I was very proud of that I entered whatever that was, 4 moves in advance, knowing that the opponent could do nothing. So once again, I will keep you updated, and if I do end up losing to that higher rated player in my group, which, as I've said, I most likely will in at least one game, I will probably end this coverage here with those games, just to see what I did wrong. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.